I think I was more excited to read book 2 of this series than I was to read like book 4 of Stormlight Archive.
Bitch.
I think it's a spectacular book.
That's amazing.
I loved it. I had so much fun. And there are not too many books out there that make you want to drop your entire TBR and go like, well, this is now my life now. I'm reading all these. Welcome everyone to a Toot Around podcast episode. My name is Richard.
My name is Carl.
Today we're doing the best book ever, Dungeon Crawler Carl. Woo!
Woo! Okay, my name's actually Austin. Just to clarify, if it's your first time
I
here.
wish it was Carl. Carl would be a great podcast host.
I think way higher of the name Carl. Now, do you ever, when you're reading a book and you really like a character or a book, and then go, now you think more positively of people associated or named after that character?
It works the complete opposite as well, of like, you have a character and then the character just sucks, and then now, like, I remember I came across a Darrow the other day, and I was like, immediately oh god, that guy sucks.
Admit, Darrow's a nice fantasy name.
Yeah,
you got the nice.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. But it is true. When you hate a character in a book too, you think worse of the people named that.
It's a good thing that there aren't too many Lysanders around.
Yeah.
That's not a very common name, and it's probably a good thing.
That's an apt point. But we're talking about Dungeon Crawler Carl today. We always start with the first 10 to 15 minutes are completely spoiler-free, then we'll spoil the whole book.
Caveat, spoiler-free, I consider Chapter 1 spoilers on the table.
Yeah, so we'll give you the best pitch we possibly can to should you read this book, what we think about it, if you can't already tell by a bit of the jazz going on here.
We liked it.
Yeah.
It was great. I had a great time. I do want to also say, shout out to Coop on our Patreon. He's the one that recommended this book to me and insisted that I read it. He made me put off Sun Eater, my continuation of Sun Eater for this book, and it was worth it.
Thank you, Coop.
So thank you very much, Coop.
And through Coop telling Rich told me, and that's how I read all my books. So thank you to both of you. This is great. And this is a first book of a series. The best way to describe the book for anybody, or the genre of the book, it's a lit RPG. And Rich, for those who don't know what a lit RPG is, how would you describe that subgenre in fantasy?
I mean, in the name, literature RPG. So RPG is kind of all about strength leveling, where there's normally
it stands for role-playing game, right?
Role-playing game. Yeah. Typically, what kind of happens is, I mean, it's not universal, but I guess it's the common trope. Is if you know, with anime, there's a lot of those different anime shows where it's like, oh, they train and they get a level up, and it's kind of treated like a game, and it's a power creep whole thing. That's what we get in this book, but it's weird. An alien system comes down on Earth. They wipe out 90% of the Earth's population and put the remaining people into a dungeon game that is televised across the galaxy. And the players can, as they kill monsters, they get levels, and then they can distribute those points to strength, intelligence, whatever have you, like a D&D game, and they get skills and magic and all this stuff.
That's a good example. So because people are familiar with D&D, RPG is essentially saying you get to level up your character, and the one thing that makes it neat in a book is, you get to follow a well-written story around a game that you'd play in real life.
Yeah,
and this book is one of, there's currently 6 out, and it's written by Matt Dinniman, and
I think it's Dinman.
Dinman?
I think so.
Okay, there's an extra I in there, but it's Dinniman. You're probably right. One of us is right.
I believe it's Matt
Maybe
Dinman.
Dinman. Okay, so he wrote this book, and the 7th book is coming out. We don't know when. I don't believe we have a date yet.
No, but it's he writes them out pretty quick.
And this book is also a quick read, where it is short. It's not a novella, but it's relatively short, quick, and I mean quick by you will not have a difficult time reading it. I would go out and read this book if you are open, maybe you haven't read a lit RPG before. If you're to start in the lit RPG subgenre, I think this is a good entryway because this was my first lit RPG, and it's definitely not an everybody type read if you don't like that leveling up system. It's a different read, but if you can get behind some of the characters in that journey, like what do you think on that?
There's a couple things going for it that go beyond just being a lit RPG, like kind of throwing you into the deep end. So first off, if you're a fan of kind of slapstick crude humor, that's the humor of this book. If you're more of a fan of Terry Pratchett style humor of like, more subtlety or kind of a witty humor, that's not what this book is. I love the slapstick crude humor. It was funny to me. So no shame there. In addition, it does a lot of satire work on the fantasy genre and just human culture as a whole. So it uses the medium appropriately, where it doesn't take itself too seriously. So it's not, if you're watching it and you're going, oh, this kind of game thing is weird. Well, it's supposed to be. It's a literal game made by aliens. It's not taken seriously as like, oh yeah, this is the way of life. It's a game created by aliens. There are glitches. There are things that go wrong because aliens don't understand humans.
It's almost impossible for the world building to be flawed because it all has to work. Because a glitch can be purposeful.
Yeah.
In the whole system.
It's a really flexible world. Like he can make almost anything work, which is really fun. It means he has a lot of creative freedom.
Right. Is there any additional thing you'd go into for spoiler free wise for what kind of reader should read this? Should anyone stay away? Would you say, is it really just
my mother? Mom, don't read this book. This is the one you pass on. This is not for you.
Anybody besides Richard's mother, we will start having the books that we review in the top of the link to the description below with affiliate links if you want to support us and also get the book. And we'll even include the affiliate link for books we hate. So whether we like it or dislike it, we'll put it down there for you screwballs. So check that out if you'd like. But Rich, do you want to get into our spoiler-free rating?
Yes.
Okay.
How about you start off with? I want to hear. Let's ramp it up.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure I'm rating it higher than you, so I want to start it low and rate it higher. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll go off with my overall out of 5 stars rating. And with our rating system here, we go to the nearest 0.25 stars, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest. And we have a word associated with each one. So 3 means completely neutral because it's dead center. I gave this a 3.75 out of 5, meaning I think that it's a very good book.
Fantastic to hear.
Yeah.
I gave it a 4.5. I think it's a spectacular book.
That's amazing.
I loved it. I had so much fun. And there are not too many books out there that make you want to drop your entire TBR and go like, well, this is now my life now. I'm reading all these. Yeah. It's what it is.
It maybe also helps that anybody who would go into a book like this, if you're into video game culture.
Oh, yeah, it's super fun.
You love video game. You love, it doesn't have to do with coding, but you like coding, and there's enough familiar stuff to go like, oh, that's how games work. That's how technology works. That's cool.
Yeah.
So it's one of those books where if you have a little bit of knowledge as well, it probably doubles the enjoyment for you.
Oh, yeah. There's so many little Easter eggs that are just fun to pick up on. And then along that, it's junk. It's the junk food in type. It's not McDonald's junk food. It's Five Guys junk food. It's high class.
What a good description.
You know what I mean?
That's the you get like 100 and whatever episodes we're on. That's the biggest contribution you've made toward society. Go say that again.
It's not McDonald's junk food. It's Five Guys junk food.
Say it again. Okay, I won't have you say it again. Yeah, but that is perfect.
That's what I mean. It's high class. It tastes delicious. There's so many, not spoilers really, but just as how it's structured is it leaves so many questions and mysteries open where like you finish the first book and you go, well, now I got to read the second. I got to know what happens next. Yeah, it's like the old Saturday morning cartoons of where each episode is actually broken up into 2 and the end of every episode is left on a big cliffhanger. It's not to the same degree, but it made me feel like I have to read the next book.
And you did it so much you threw away Sun Eater and said, "I'm finishing Dungeon." You're now reading the rest of the series.
Oh no, I put a pause on Sun Eater, and I love Sun Eater. Sun Eater's amazing. Book 3 is one of my top 10 books. I love Sun Eater. But I got to finish Dungeon Crawler Carl first. I got to get these done, or else every other book is going to... it poisons every book. I'm currently reading, because I was already obligated to do it.
Yeah.
I was reading Between Two Fires. I'm still just over half, like 60% done with it. And it's a good book. It's not a bad book. But my opinion is a little bit tainted
because
this book is putting me off from reading book 3 of Dungeon Crawler Carl. And it's slowing my reading down just a little bit. So I have to get them all out of the way, or else my opinions are going to be tainted.
Is the Dungeon Crawler universe your new Discworld? Forget the DCU, the Dungeon Crawler universe. Oh yeah.
I love Dungeon Crawler Carl for completely different reasons.
It's the witty versus the slapstick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the main thing is how it's structured is I got to know what happens next. Discworld's all self-contained.
Very
for the
much
most,
so.
like it,
yeah.
self-contained. I can read one and be satisfied and done. These ones I gotta know. I gotta read them all.
What do you think? Because we should start doing this now, where we can give a little tidbit before we get into spoilers of what the best categories and worst categories are for this book and what people should expect on what kind of read this is. Can I start us off with what I think the best category is?
Go ahead.
I personally think it's the characters.
Wow.
And,
okay.
Well, I think other things are done really well as well. You have it's a good world and also plot, and you want to find out what happens next. But I think a good highlight is if you guys want a character that's just going to stick in your mind that you can completely understand, and it's one of those characters that you'll name and then always go, "Oh, I know exactly who Carl is," and Princess Donut, who you'll see. So I think it does that really well. What do you think the best and worst categories are?
To me, emotional impact was the highest because I was
Fun time.
out loud laughing several times. And I was feeling for some of the characters. Like on a like, early on in the book, and I will agree with you, the characters are really good because in the beginning I'm thinking, okay, there's not too they're kind of simple characters that I'm not like there's not a lot of depth to them right now.
Yeah.
But as time went on, there was a couple scenes that like really pulled on the heartstrings. Like it was getting me emotional. I was feeling for these characters. And I think that's really great for a comedy type book that's not taking itself too seriously, that I actually really care about the characters.
Yeah. What do you think the worst category is? If there's anything that just was lackluster, because I'll start us off with, I think it's prose probably. It's not bad. The word isn't bad. It's just saying, hey, if you're going in, as for people going into this book, going, hey, the better categories are probably going to be emotion, like Rich says, or characters if you like a bit more, like I did. And then the worst, generally speaking, is the prose is totally passable, good.
Yeah,
but
prose is good.
It's the lowest of what the book's going for.
I personally gave it a little boost of the jokes are very funny.
Oh, sure.
And so I'm going like, okay, hey, look, I think it's a very funny book. The way it's written is really
fair,
really well done. So I'm giving that a little bit of boost. But if not for the jokes, the prose are just good.
Yeah,
it's nothing negative to say particularly, but nothing like amazing.
Do you want to hear? I know democracy is cringe. I get it.
It is, but
do you want to hear what the public says real quick?
As long as they agree with me, yes.
They really do. Goodreads gave this a 4.54. That's Stormlight level. That's insane. Actually, your rating was 4.5 overall.
Yeah, it is.
You exactly. Actually, I
put this online.
The public likes it more than you by 0.04.
I think I am more excited. I was more excited to read book 2 of this series than I was to read like book 4 of Stormlight Archive.
Son of a bitch. Oh my goodness.
I was more excited. I don't think you understand how this is just stuck into my brain, and it has a hook there and it won't let go. And it's prevented me from reading other things.
Check link in the description if you want to get the book. We're going to get into spoilers. Oh, not yet?
Before you go to spoilers territory, important to note.
Yes.
Jeff Hayes is the audiobook narrator from Sound Booth Theater. It is essential not like optional, essential that you listen to this book. Not like, oh, it's really good, you can also listen to the book. No, mandatory is you get the audiobook. It is, I think he's one of the best audiobook narrators I've ever heard. This series itself is probably the best narrated and elevates this material to its peak. I would not feel the way I'm feeling now about this book series if not for Jeff Hayes. Bar none. I would think probably on your standpoint of like, oh yeah, it's really good, but everything has been heightened because this narrator is amazing. He's fantastic at his job.
Great, but yeah, go listen to the audiobook and also get the book to support them. So
yes.
I think this is really blown up from BookTube as well, just to mention what other people think. Daniel Green covered this. Mm-hmm. I think he had Matt Dinman on one of his channels at some point, but it's becoming bigger in BookTube. You'll see people starting to talk about it. It's up and coming.
Oh yeah,
we give you the inside scoop here.
A couple weeks late.
Yeah, months. Spoiler time. All right, spoiler warning. If you don't want spoilers for the book, this is your chance to back out. But for those of you that do continue on still listen, we'll give more context when we're talking about what scenes we're in. If you haven't read the book and just want to still continue listening on. You want to get into this, Rich?
Let's get into it.
Okay. Very first category, emotional impact. What'd you give it? And I imagine it's very high.
A 4.5
out of 5. Very, very spectacular score. I gave a 3.5 out of 5. Good. Yes.
Okay.
So you loved the humor hit for you.
Oh yeah, humor and the characters emotionally. I was on board. I just had a fun time from beginning to end.
It's very clear the book is going for funny. Mm-hmm. And the book is going for just page turner. Yeah. And it did both of those things perfectly for you.
Yep. It scratched that itch.
What else could you ask for?
I don't know. The sequel books are pretty damn good. So
yeah, I would say that it was enjoyable in such an easy way. I love that I could go listen to this all the time and just always know like, okay, continuing. I didn't it's one of those books you could turn your brain off and just let it throw things at you. And a lot of movies are like that with it's just purely going for entertainment. And I think we could both say this is just purely entertainment.
Oh, 100%.
It's not going for anything deeper. Straight up, are you having a fun time? Then what was the most fun time for you? What do you remember just you laughing your ass off with?
Well, we'll get into this later. I'll play the scene, I guess.
Yeah.
But so the AI for me was the funniest part. I loved all of the announcer voices.
New achievement.
A new skill at all. They are hilarious. It also a little bit nerve-wracking of how the AI treats humans and human culture. It makes it feel like an enemy. I think that the one little like, hey, he's doing a really good job of it's very funny. But then you take one step back and go, this AI is very hostile or very dismissive of humans and like clearly the enemy. Like a higher being. And so it's like, it's good. It's a good world building aspect to this world.
Yeah.
I thought all those were hilarious. Carl not getting pants and just walking around this whole dungeon in his underwear. And then,
and to give a tiny context for that, is just the beginning of the book. Aliens kill everybody that is in a building, right?
Or in a structure with
any structure,
any kind of
tent.
roof.
Yeah, and everybody dies. So whoever's outside of a building survives and is thrown into the dungeons. And Carl was outside chasing after his now ex-girlfriend's cat, Princess Donut. So Princess Donut escaped.
All he
runs
put
out
on
there
is some Crocs, his boxers, and a leather jacket, and he's outside in the cold trying to get this cat back. And everyone dies.
So when the Hunger Games begins, he has boxers on. Yeah. And it's just the whole context of that is humorful.
Oh, it's great. And you carry on further of because this is a game show. It's a television show for the aliens. Mm-hmm. Things are not always fair. The game will always try and go for what is the most entertaining thing. So it will tailor the rewards or the achievements to making it more fun for viewers.
Yeah.
And because Carl keeps going like looking for pants and wants to find pants, people find it funny he doesn't have pants. So the game is never giving him pants.
He's keeping the boxers,
You're
right?
keeping the boxers. And where another character, Mordecai, who is a alien but is kind of on their side, he's more of a manager type deal. He's helping him out in the game. He tells Carl, like, stop mentioning if you actually want pants, stop mentioning that you want pants. They're never going to give it to you if you keep doing that.
Because they're watching his every step. This is being a live feed, and even the thing where he goes into those talk shows, or that's what you call them, right? Talk shows that review the aliens, bring you in off the game and go, hey, how's the game going? Mm-hmm. And he finds out he had a catchphrase he didn't realize he was saying so much, which was, God damn it, Richard. So, he would say, God damn it, donut all the time. And I didn't even realize how much he said it until it was pointed out. I was like, oh, he does say, God damn it, donut all the time. And so it's very slapstick and fun.
Oh, yeah.
And for maybe someone more on the less emotionally, like you gave it 4 or 5, I gave it 3 5. I still think it's good. I think mine's just down to I enjoyed the book. It is the lit RPG aspect of going through level 1 and level 2. So this book ends after level 2, going into level 3.
Yes.
And a lot of the fun moments for me when we talk about the other categories, it's actually very impressive with some character stuff, plot stuff, world stuff, which we'll talk about. I just want to keep it on emotion of sometimes with the leveling and beating monsters and going through it and leveling up. The whole point of lit RPG isn't my favorite thing. So I was kind of going through like, okay, beating monster, totally fine. Just not my favorite genre ever. So this is getting me introduced, and maybe as I go into the series, I could see my emotion by book 2 and 3, me getting so used to the whole, we're leveling up, we're going through. Because there's enough good fun in this book, and it's definitely well done.
I personally like it. It's fun for me. It's familiar. Yeah. It's hard to explain why I like the leveling system. Mm-hmm. I think there's something subconscious in your brain of it. It's kind of like completing a chord or something where you know what's going to happen next. You're waiting for it to happen. And so it's cathartic when you see them level up, and it's understandable growth. And so that's the fun thing, seeing very slow, meticulous growth with predictable results, and you're just crawling up to get it. I think it scratches some like an itch in people's brains of like, this makes sense. This is good. And I don't know. I think that's maybe a reason why.
I actually completely agree, because when talking about plot and just what was so enjoyable about the plot for me is it's one of those books where you can look at a map, or what the end goal is. This book tells you essentially you have to go through 18 levels. And what you like is you like the little asides that it gives you of, level 12 or 13, it gets rough. Mordecai couldn't make it there. And then you get when he meets the orc, and the orc and him are going to battle on, was it level 8?
Level 9, I think.
Level 9. And so each level, there's the increase of stakes. Mm-hmm. And that's what's really good about the plot is by the time every level you get to, it's what happens when you open the box. Like, what's in the box, Carl? And so you're constantly finding what's in the box. I really enjoy that too.
And constantly, it's a combination of mystery, but also not just tension. So he does a really good job of giving you plenty of mysteries of, what's going to happen on this level, or what's going to happen then. And additional things of, what's going to happen then. He made enemies, and this floor is now gotten a lot harder. Yeah. A simple thing of Princess Donut, the cat. For context, the Carl's ex-girlfriend's cat goes into the dungeon with him and basically becomes a player and gains the ability to talk and evolves, and now still a cat, but can now talk and use skills and everything, and that's Carl's partner for this whole genre. Yeah. Love Princess Donut. But part of the one of the items that Princess Donut gets is this little tiara crown thing that basically means she has to kill all the royalty on like level 9. And it means like, oh, that level is now going to be a lot harder.
Yeah.
And so it's stuff like that where we know it's going to pay off many books from now.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Would you say to the naysayers, because the top review on Goodreads, sorry, the top 1-star review on Goodreads, all the ones are 5 and 4.
Yeah.
But the top 1-star review says they DNF'd 2.5 hours in. It's so stupid, maybe good for 10 to 12-year-olds. I don't know. And then a lot of the other 1-star reviews just go, I was an edgy teenager once. And other people going, the really creative idea, frustrating execution, da-da-da. And they're all going about how it's kind of that crude teenage humor.
Oh, 100% is. That completely get it. Yeah. Maybe it's not for everyone, but
so it is, to clarify, emotional impact wise. Anybody that's read this book and joining along with us, it's either did you have the fun or did you not have the fun?
Yeah, basically.
So, do you want to go on to next category?
Well, thought-provokingness.
Yeah. So in the 6 categories, category 2, thought-provokingness. What'd you put?
NA. Not even a factor.
Not applicable. I also put NA because the book is not going for that. In other books we review, we do rate that, but when there's a category the book's not going for, ignore.
Yeah.
Because there are themes and messages, because when thought-provoking, we're just thinking what sticks with you, but it's going for 99% pure entertainment.
Yeah.
So we agree there. Do you want to go on to third category, characters?
Let's go into it.
Characters, what did you give characters out of 5 stars?
I gave it a 3.75 stars out of 5. So I thought it was really good.
Oh, so now I can flip it on you. I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. I gave it a great. Because very good being 3.75, great being 4 stars. I gave 4 specifically. There's really 2 main characters to talk about. You have your Mordecai's in that, but we have Carl and we have Princess Dona. And do you mind if I compliment you for a second?
Go ahead.
It's an actual compliment.
Okay.
You remind me of Carl.
I will take that compliment. Carl's great.
The one scene where, very much in the beginning, where Carl is talking about Princess Dona before he goes into the whole alien realm and the aliens invade, which is literally 10 minutes into the book. So Carl is saying how his ex-girlfriend's all away. He has to take care of this stupid cat, which he really loves. But he has to take care of Princess Donut, and Princess Donut doesn't give a shit about anything or anyone, including him. And he's like, this stupid bratty cat doesn't give a shit. And I respect that. and if that isn't Richard 101 for a line of, man, this person's miserable, they're depressing, they're standoffish, and I respect the hell out of a guy like that. Oh yeah, any gal that slaps my face, good. I respect strength and honor. So Carl just constantly gave me this gravitas of Richard.
Okay. I understand why I liked it more than you then. I completely get it now.
You were just reading a point of view book from yourself.
Yeah.
So it must have been so enjoyable. It's like, oh, what would I do next? Oh, let me find out. So Carl, what do you want to talk about with Carl first, and we can go on to donut? So
Carl, on the surface, I like how, so they start off on a fairly stoic-like character, just kind of man's man character. On the surface, not too much more to him.
Yeah.
But as the book goes on, there's a good bit of heart. I like the little things of how much he really cares about Princess Donut before the cat even was able to talk, on planning to steal her away anyway from his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then the further on of how he's coming to grips with his ex-girlfriend cheating on him, how he's dealing with the alien oppression, how he knows he's on camera, but he's internally going, I will not let them break me. I'm going to beat everyone at this game. I'm going to win this game, and they're not going to break me doing it. And he sees how much the game is twisting people, and he's determined not to lose himself.
Which is a slight difference, so no spoilers for Discworld, but Discworld books can typically be that ignorance is bliss character, where Small Gods and Mort, those two Discworld books are very much a protagonist that's in this whimsical, absurd world, and they don't even really acknowledge it because that's just how the world is. Whereas Carl is thrown into from normal Earth into this crazy, delusional, what the hell is this? So he's acting how a human would. This is so ridiculous. I'm just walking through, but he doesn't accept it. It's not just this is how the world is. He's constantly fighting, going, I'm going to find a way through this. They will not break me.
Yeah. And I like he basically has two catchphrases. One is when Princess Donut does something random and stupid. He goes, God damn it, Donut! And then internally, when something happens, and he never says this because he knows how it will, he doesn't want them to turn it on him. But he says, they're not going to break me. And that's always in his head. And I find that interesting of him being on television and knowing he can't say that, because if he does, that's a challenge to the whole system and they will try. And so I like that a lot from his character. Yeah. Princess Donut, even further. What did you think about good old Princess Donut?
I like the dichotomy. Do you like that dichotomy? A little bit of throwing out some D words out there, Okay. So
I'm so proud.
Thanks. So I like how Carl and Princess Donut are kind of the same person, but also not. Where she's pretentious and glamorous, full, whatever word. Man, I was doing so well with words just a second ago.
You were so good.
You remember when I said dichotomy? Oh, that was a great time.
Continue.
So with Carl and Princess Donut, they're very different in temperaments, where Carl is that gruff man with... the second part is where they're similar, but the gruff guy, whereas Princess Donut was the pampered, self-image, inflated ego, very much into themselves. Yeah, a cat. But the similarity they have is outwardly. They always express him this gruffness, her this selfishness, but they act in a way that goes, they really do care for each other. So regardless, they still have a moralometer, a moral meter. It's a new word I'm inventing, and it teeters my totter. So I'm just saying it. A moralometer. And basically Carl and Princess Donut say one thing. They go, like, I'm selfish. She doesn't say that, but she's essentially very selfish into herself. And where Carl is going, I don't care about anything. The world sucks, whatever. But both of them always act in a way that they care about each other and they want to make it through.
They don't just care about each other. They care about others too.
Oh, especially all the homeless, Agatha, and all the elderly.
They have a really good moral compass that they're kind of on together, which now how much of this, and I find this interesting to carry forward, how much of Princess Donut's morality, how much of her personality is the ex-girlfriend. So I'm wondering if part of it is her outward personality comes from her ex-girlfriend, and her inward morality and personality is coming from Carl.
Yeah.
Because in many ways, like, Princess Donut is kind of like their kid in a way, to some degree. It used to be that, Carl takes care of her, is known most of her life, so it's, I don't know.
Also, prediction, we're definitely seeing the ex-girlfriend at some point.
Maybe.
I don't know. I think so. I mean, come on. It's just like, give me, right? But we'll see. Maybe book 2 or 3, I don't know. But you've read book 2. Don't give me anything.
I'm not giving you anything. Don't worry.
But Princess Donut, what do you think about Princess Donut beyond that? Just is there another layer?
I was about to quickly be tired of the character if it was just the pretentious and, princess, like spoiled princess that she has kind of going for. And really early on, Carl's like, nope, not dealing with this. And Princess Donut is asking him, like, oh, you're going to be my manservant, and we're going to, like, you'll follow me. And Carl is having none of it. So I'm like, nope, I'll leave the party. You'll have to deal with it on your own. And he leaves, and Princess Donut comes over, like, I'm sorry, please, don't leave me. Like, I promise I won't do that. I just help. and is honest for a moment and pulls down the mask a little bit, and Carl accepts her back, and it was that really stuck with me. I'm like, okay, this character's more than just pretentious princess.
Yeah, the author does a good job with getting you to see clear flaws in the character that are just kind of going to be there throughout the books, as in flaws just going, hey, Princess Donut's selfish. That's it. She's been pampered.
And naive.
And naive, yeah. So that's just something that's going to be present, but there's enough good qualities and enough wholesomeness that you go, oh, I'm still rooting for them. I still want to see them succeed. I think that's true for the most part.
Yeah.
And the part for me, because when rating characters, just looking at how irreplaceable are these characters versus then the worst end, how are they incoherent? When it comes to Carl and Princess Donut, I'm just thinking of these two as characters. I could see them in any other world. I completely get their personalities, and he does a really good job of making this really simple RPG book that's just supposed to be fun, action. There you go, have fun. But then puts these two characters. I think the whole book series just works because you want to follow Carl. Without Carl, there's really no fun in it because you're following this character that's acting in a both human, but also a both human way, but acknowledging the delusion around him and just trying to make it work. But he has enough that personality that carries you through page to page. So I think he's the focal point here.
That's a great point. I'm all fine with improving my
raising
score.
your score?
You know what? I am. I'm going to raise my score.
To 4?
Oh, higher than that.
Oh,
4.25. You're
yes! I'm all for it.
You're completely right.
Wait, so here's the thing. If I changed your mind to go higher, you go, I can't go the same as him because that would mean we're the same. So I have to, now you have to go higher.
Yeah.
So now do I have to go, now do I have to go 4.5?
I think so. I have to change the score.
But yeah, absolutely great characters. So you would say 4 point, that means really great to you.
Yeah. No, focusing on the irreplaceability of the characters. Yeah, you follow this series because of Carl.
Yeah.
Carl is really the heart of it, and his interactions with Princess Donut are the best parts of this. And the reason why the whole book has heart and not just funny.
Damn. Let's go on the plot line.
Yeah.
Okay. Plot. What did you give plot out of 5 stars?
I gave it a 3.75. I think it's pretty good. Like, it's better.
Good, yeah.
I think it's very good.
I gave it the same, 3.75. I think it's a very good plot.
Yeah. It carries you along. There's pacing wise, it's entertaining from page to page, chapter to chapter. It doesn't feel like a ton of fluff. Plenty of good surprises of little things that happen. And so I enjoy all that. On the whole, nothing super stand out. Nothing stood out of like a big mystery, but there's tons of little mysteries that
it prevented you from that 4 out of 5, which would be something great. Like, it didn't do anything extraordinary. It wasn't like, oh, okay, great. But it had enough fun to it. And we kind of hinted at the plot, how you go into the next levels and anticipating. This is a good setup for future stuff that we're going to see.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll see what's going down. But I think the enjoyable part about the plot in this book, why it was very good, is you get your dungeon stuff where you're action, fight. And if it was just that, it would just be a fine plot. It would be just neutral. I think it would be okay, all right. The fun is the humor, the dialogue, the banter between the characters.
Here's
the extra layer. Oh, yeah, fill it in for me.
I know where you're going.
Yeah.
I was kind of on board the same way. We're like, oh, this is fine. This is the dungeon thing. That's cool.
Yeah, it's neat, right?
And then when they go to, they complete the first floor and they go to the second, and instead of going to the second floor immediately, they actually go to a television set for the alien television set to basically a late night show. And that is like, what? That is a fantastic little element, like a great twist, and pulls a whole other dimension to this whole plot.
That's exactly where I was going with it. Yeah. It's not just the dungeon itself. It doesn't. I'll hint at this for World, but not talking about World yet, but it expands the scope of the story. And it brings you in that, hey, this whole talk show that they have, because in this universe, in Dungeon Crawl Carl, they're going through levels 1 through 18, and at the end of level 1, they're going to the next layer into hell, basically, because it just gets harder and harder. They have to level up. And I forget what was the character's name, Ardent?
I think it's Ardent.
Ardent, yeah, which was described very well. A very clear picture of just the massive slog. Okay, the big breasts.
Huge tracts of land.
Huge tits.
Tracts of land.
Just this slobulous, just basically pouring onto the floor and having different, was it crab?
Yeah.
Like just very, very interestingly described. But going after level 1, Carl and Princess Donut did enough things in the story so far where the viewers, who this is how the whole thing's making money in the Dungeon Crawler universe, there's this company who is sponsoring this on Earth. They're somewhere out in the universe, and we don't know too much about them quite yet, other than they are trying to get money as soon as possible. And by doing that is different advertisers throughout the universe sponsor different dungeon crawlers. They sponsor Carl, they sponsor these people, which hasn't gotten to that yet. You can't sponsor until I think it's level 3. But advertisers will go to them and want to give them things so that they can think Hunger Games sponsors.
Yeah, it's the same
something
deal.
like that. So with Carl and Donut, they did enough cool things to where after level 1, people were watching them. And so a talk show host, this Ardent, I can't remember the exact name of the person, but had them on the talk show. Now adding on, hey, now why it makes the characters great too is Carl was your rough and tough gruff. Oh, rough and tough gruff guy, like that. And Princess Donut, sure, she was there for humor and everything, but the element Donut now can fill for the role for the rest of the series is she's the people pleaser. She knows how to put on a show because her whole character is, I was pompous and I would go into cat shows and win them because I'm freaking beautiful.
Yeah.
But now
she has great charisma.
And that whole personality trait and charisma works with the TV show aspect. So now it goes, oh, of course Donut has to be in the story. So it works together with Donut's not just that when you have a team of characters and then they fill different roles, they all fill the same role. It's not that fun because they're all the same person. It's like, oh, okay, this person is witty humor, but fighter. Okay, this person is sarcastic, but fighter. And they're all the same. Where Princess Donut can lean into those more talk show moments where they're on these shows, and then Carl can fill those moments of, well, when we get back to business, I hate this talk show stuff. Let's get through this stupid thing. Yeah. So it works together so well, and the plot keeps it so interested because it's going, ooh, what are they doing in the background? Not just when they're fighting. There's constantly consequences, and it makes so much sense with the quote unquote plot armor, where it's explained how it's in the interest of the talk show, it's in the interest of everyone to make sure that what they're doing is entertaining and make sure that what they're doing is that they're not just, they could kill them instantly if they wanted to.
Yeah, but that's not entertaining. Ooh. But here's the thing, it's a double-edged sword. If you're not entertaining, they'll kill you and they won't make it fair.
Exactly.
So as long as you're entertaining, they may keep you alive. And I really enjoy it. Where you have Princess Donut, who's great at playing the game of, like, as the game wants you to play, Princess Donut's perfect for it. Yeah. Has great personality, great at attracting attention, really popular, all that stuff. And so by the rules of this game, she's perfect.
Yeah.
Then we have Carl, who is not ideal for the entertainment aspect of the game, but is incredibly creative and loves to be able to, like, break things. You just start to see his mind works a little like he's trying to find exploits.
Yeah.
He never plays the game as it wants to be played. And so you have that cool dichotomy.
Well, nice. Well, explain that one scene, the scene where how they end up killing the boss.
Oh, yeah. There's a boss room that they know the boss is in a room.
Yep.
And instead of going in there and fighting it, making this whole boss battle, Carl just basically chucks a bunch of explosions in there.
Yeah.
It closed the door, it blows up, and they beat the boss without actually having to fight it.
And similarly with the end of level boss, where they kill it by going into the next level or sending it into the next level room. Yeah. What was that creature? Remind me.
It was the basically a hellspawn, like fire elemental or something,
and brought it into the next layer because the spawns die if they go into the next room because everything
they have to do on world building level. We'll get more into it, but basically they don't want the creatures that they spawn on the levels to run away for like lower levels. They don't want that to happen. So they make it sure to them that they know that if you try and descend the stairs to a lower level, you die.
Yeah.
And so Carl uses that to his advantage and basically tricks one to go down the stairs.
Well, before we go on the world, then anything else with plot? Why you thought it was very good? What kept it from going higher, and what just kept it fun?
What would keep it from going higher? I think it teases a bunch of little things that I'm sure will get it there, but it's a lot of setup.
Agreed.
I like the setup. I'm hesitant to give it the great spectacular yet. It definitely can and will get there.
Yeah.
Little spoiler for book 2 here.
That's a great point. A lot of this is going, hey, there's a lot of setup here, and we're not getting that payoff yet. We're getting some really good setup.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't want to give it that great and amazing until
it deserves it.
Yeah, it's got some promise. Let me see it actually come through.
Yep.
That's what I'm looking for.
Completely agreed on that.
All right.
World
building?
World building time. What'd you give it out of 5 stars?
I gave it a 4. 4 out of 5 stars.
That surprises me.
Yeah.
I thought we would disagree.
We don't?
I gave 3.75. Very good.
Yeah.
Nearly 4.
Yeah, I think it was great.
Yeah,
the main
really good.
thing is, if it was just the dungeon, it would be neutral, maybe even disappointing, or be fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the other elements to it. It's
Completely
the fact that it's by this company that is
the
Borant company, which there's more. It's not just a simple, oh, they're the big enemy. Stuff's going down with their company. Like there's some, like they're going through bankruptcy and things are not going well for them. And so now this dungeon is off. And so now there's rival companies that are trying to bring them down.
Which means they have to speed up the game.
That to speed up the game. And so like,
but also get enough money so because they don't get paid until the game's over.
Yeah.
So they want the game to do well, but also quick so they can get a quick money so that they don't get their ass handed to them with whatever's going on outside. Yeah.
But then you have all the different alien factions that participate and how this whole structure works. Then you have the talk shows and how that, like where they teleport you to the surface of the earth. And so when Carl and Donut are teleported and to this talk show, they're not actually teleported there. They're transported to the surface of Earth on a boat out on the ocean. And then they get into a hologram type deal.
Wait,
too.
what? Say it again?
Did I?
No, bring that the teleported to Earth part.
They're transported to the surface of the Earth.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, with the interview portions.
So when they're going to the interview, they're teleported to the surface of the Earth on a boat on the ocean. And what I liked is that that's a weird moment of calm of like, yeah, they're underneath the ground, they're in this dungeon, it's all fake. And there's a moment where he can look out and like, that's Earth. That's the ocean. That's his sky. That's his moon. Like, there's something nice about, like, it makes it feel like, yeah, the whole thing is fake and like, that's the real world out there.
Oh, apologies.
I like that a lot.
I forgot that scene. Shoot.
Yeah.
I just remember for the interviews, they would be, I forgot that scene. Damn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not remembering it. Man, I must have glossed over it. Well, not glossed over it, but I remember before the interviews, they would be put into these, they would be put into the
boat.
Was it the boat? Okay. Got it. I didn't know it was a boat. I missed that portion of it. Okay.
The green room.
Yeah. Okay. I knew it was a green room where they weren't seeing, they were seeing only what they were being shown. And they weren't actually, the audience wasn't actually there in front of them. That kind of portion of it. Okay.
Yeah. But the green room for the show is on the surface of the Earth. Yeah. And I think that really adds a nice element to the world and pulls you out to see good perspective on it. All the other factors going into this game make it so great. You add the Agatha thing at the end of, oh, there's an alien infiltration that's like,
there's more going on.
There's something
more that beats the eye.
The fact that she's been edited out of all this character that they've been interacting with has been edited out of all the footage that's being shown. So something like she's not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And it's a weird thing. So love all that.
And all the outside stuff is what elevates this world for me too. Just everything going. We completely agree. You know what? I might go up to 4.
There you go.
You know what?
I pushed you. Okay. You pushed me up. I'll push you.
I'll join you.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Because the outside stuff is what really elevates the world. And if it's just the dungeon, good. But then what elevates at the very good or great is the outside stuff. Because just talking about dungeon for a second, why the dungeon itself really works is it perfectly sets up and also let me back up with one statement of every time I had a question for, wait, how does that work? Or why would that function that way? It was answered for me. So there was always a complete explanation of this is exactly why you can suspend your disbelief. This is exactly why you can get immersed in this world, because every element. So I was asking at one point, so if he was in, was it Seattle? In Seattle. If he's in Seattle, will he run into people from other countries in Earth? What if they don't speak English? How would he interact with them? Then it goes, it brings the English speakers with English. It brings local areas with local areas. So you won't see those people until later. Like the African group, I believe it was the African group that was taking out that one boss for a while, is happening way in another part of the dungeon. So it's something that anytime I had a question for some small thing, like, I bet he didn't think about this. Well, he thought about it. Yeah. He made it work. So every single element where, why can't they get a race or a new class until level 3? Well, they can't invest that money in you until they're sure you made it to that. Just every single thing has a justified world explanation that makes you be able to go in with, okay, I trust this all functions like an alien corporation would want it to function.
You want to make this even more impressive? I was listening to an interview with Matt Denman that he is a complete pantser. 100%.
Damn.
Like, there are other pantsers out there that they kind of have some rough idea, but scene to scene they have some idea. No, completely. Wow. He writes it just anything.
That is so impressive.
He sets up stuff that he has no idea how that's going to pay off later. Like, so he had no clue.
He's setting up, hey, level 12 or 13 is tough. He's like, I hope I come up with something.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
There's other stuff going. So he was talking about a lot of the elements he lets his patron members vote on things.
No way.
Yeah, just like, hey, what item should they get? And he gives them choices and then lets them
are
vote.
You kidding? Okay, not gonna lie. Join his Patreon over ours. Link and hit for his Patreon in the description below.
But yeah, apparently he doesn't let anyone choose.
That's so cool.
Like decisions that the characters make, because like that's important that he makes the characters' decisions.
Like he gives them Easter eggs.
Yeah, basically, hey, what item or what skill are they gonna get? And then he'll write into that.
That's so cool.
A bunch of stuff, but apparently he just likes writing himself into corners, because then it's really entertaining to see the characters get out of it and how he has to write his way out of a corner.
That's so cool. And that can really work with this RPG dungeon world, because the rules are set up so well at writing yourself out of a corner of an epic fantasy can be very much like you have to set up a lot of that. It's so difficult because there's so many moving parts. You can't just screwball your way through. Whereas he has this world and this setup game to where it's like playing a game. So he's playing a game with himself going, how would I get out of this? How would I solve this if I was playing the game? That makes perfect sense. As
long as it's funny and entertaining, the rules can be broken in the game.
Yep.
And so it allows for a bunch of little things that he can.
It's
great. Not super hard for him to write himself out of a corner comparative to an epic fantasy.
Yeah.
It's definitely easier, but it's still damn impressive.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I think he's a really impressive writer in that sense.
Well, talking about him being right, you want to go on to prose?
Yeah.
Our last category, prose. What'd you give that out of 5?
I gave it a 3.75.
Very good. Okay. Yeah. This was my lowest score. I did give it a 3.25.
Okay.
I think it's above average prose. And you think it's very good. The humor really hit for you. You think it deserves a lot of credit for how funny it is.
Exactly. That's basically it. I think it's really clear as well. So mainly the humor hit for me. So I like how he wrote the humor.
Yep.
I think the descriptions are really well done where I can really clearly see it. I think it has a lot of good presence. The character voices for especially Princess Donut and Carl, amazing. Though also the AI's character voice.
New achievement. Let's be honest, Jeff Hayes' voice.
Yeah, how much am I giving the pros credit for Jeff Hayes?
That's actually our difference in the prose scores. When I was rating all these categories, especially prose, I was thinking how it was written in the word.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the great stuff about the prose to me, like if I was rating the audiobook, 5 out of 5 stars.
Yeah.
The audiobook is incredible.
Seventh score, audiobook. 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5 for the audiobook because it's phenomenal. So I was taking a walk back of, okay, how is the prose actually? Like, yeah, it's fun and good, and I would say above average just because I think Jeff Hayes, he elevates it and makes it incredible. And it is fun stuff, and I do enjoy it. And the descriptions are good. I agree with everything you said. We agree, just a little bit difference in our extreme to how good or above average it is.
Yeah, the main thing for me was clarity, character voice, humor. All that worked.
All very competent.
There wasn't any kind of trip up moment where I'm like having to go back on, like the prose is confusing me or any kind of mistake in that sense. So I think it's very good prose, but yeah, not amazing or great.
Yeah, you have something to play for us.
I do
from the audiobook.
I do have a little sample. Hopefully, Audible doesn't strike the ban hammer down.
Never.
Just a little snippet.
We're friends with Amazon. We've never bashed them.
Never bashed Amazon.
Okay.
This is the scene. This is the AI. So this is Jeff Hayes reading the AI's voice on a new achievement that Carl gets. Carl finds out that the AI is a little into feet. Apparently, the AI has a foot fetish.
Oh, did Nickelodeon hire him?
And so, as time goes on, you realize the AI is acting a little weird on this. So here we go.
Soldier skill increased the damage I dealt by kicking. The smush skill was something else. The voice reading the skill description was deeper and more throaty than usual. I could actually hear him breathing like he was a dude beating himself off while he said it. Smush. Skill level 3. Killing with your feet. Your bare, beautiful feet. Taking your bare foot, placing it on top of a living, conscious life, and then pressing lovingly down until that life ceases to be. Is there a more noble way to kill? The amount of pressure you can bring to bear upon an enemy with your unshod foot is increased by 10% with each level of the skill. I remembered the weird message I'd received before when I'd jumped on the Goblin Engineer. I thought it was just a throwaway joke, like most of the descriptions. But it seemed the AI, or whatever it was that controlled the game messages, really did have some sort of foot fetish.
Jeff Hayes' audiobook makes this incredible to listen to.
Oh, God.
It's one of those books where you have to listen to, not read. Because his narration is so well done.
Oh, God. So there are actually 2 separate audio things going on. There's the audio book narrated by Jeff Hayes. And then there's a full production of this, like by Sound Booth Theater, that is graphic audio.
Yeah.
So they have they're doing their own graphic audio version.
Amazing.
Of this production. I haven't listened to it yet, but Jeff Hayes is also a part of that.
Okay.
But that is just so fucking funny. I love the humor of this one.
Jeff Hayes, great job.
Oh, God. It's stuff like that where the voices kind of clearly go through for me. And
totally get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to negate from that audiobook bias because audiobook's perfect. Yeah. Nothing to complain about with the audiobook. But prose, above average for me, very good for you. Would you agree, though, the prose is probably, if you had to pick a least best category, you'd say prose?
Yeah, probably.
Probably that. These other ones just impress a bit more or do more for the story.
Sure.
I think that's a good point to end with one last saying. God damn it, Richard!